Hello, good afternoon, everyone. And I would like to thank you for joining for today and to this important discussion on, as the MC has already mentioned, on the topic of why child protection matters and how each of us can be a change maker in the life of children, especially refugees, migrants, and other marginalized children who face extra challenges. So we are honored to have a wonderful panel with us today, and let me briefly introduce them. And first of all, I would like to invite to the stage Sia Bilin Win, who will be representing and speaking as a parent and caregiver. Let's give him a round of applause. And the next panelist I would like to invite upon is Aga Amtul Basit. She is a student of Fuji School, and she'll be representing a young person and youth perspective. And let's give her a round of applause to welcome. And the third panelist will be Siajo Seplian, who will be representing teacher who works closely with children every day. He is also the head teacher of Cornerstone Learning Center. Let's welcome him with a round of applause. And then the next panelist will be Mr. Abu from NSI. And NSI is a Malaysian NGO that empowers marginalized communities such as migrant workers, refugees, indigenous groups, and small farmers through advocacy, training, legal aid, research, and also community organizing for social justice and sustainable development. He is from NSI. And not the last one but not the least, I would like to invite Alex Louis from Sukai Society. Sukai Society is a Malaysian NGO dedicated to protecting and supporting vulnerable and marginalized children, including refugees, trafficking survivors, and undocumented minors. Thank you all for being here. So to start off, I'd like to ask a simple but meaningful question to all of the panelists, and you can answer it one by one. And my question to you is, in your own words, what does child protection mean to you, and why it is important in every community? And from the teacher perspective, you can start off by answering the question. Thank you.
Thank you. The children protection is, for my own words, is to keep children from harm of physical or mental harm. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for the privilege to share some points. For me, what does child protection mean? It's child protection means is creating safe, respectful, and supportive environment for every child, and also as a human. So where every child is free from harm, abuse, neglect, and exploitation, they can share their voice without any fear.
Thank you so much, Abu.
I think for me, child protection means us adults being responsible for the welfare of children, because obviously as children, they are dependent on us. They cannot find food on their own, they cannot study on their own, they cannot go anywhere without adults accompanying them. So if we as adults don't take this responsibility to protect these children, then they themselves cannot do it. And I think that's why it's important for us to understand that a lot of the decisions made for children, they cannot decide for themselves as adults. But the problem with adults is sometimes we don't think from their perspective. We think how it's easy for us. I think so that's where I think as child protectors, we always have to think, what can we do, not for the best interest of ourselves, but for the best interest of children. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Alex.
To me, child protection's importance means that every child is safe, respected, and free from all form of harm and stress, and have access to education regardless of background or status. The UDHR Article 25(2) says that every child deserves special care, and if child is protected, the child can become a confident young people who can learn, grow, and contribute back to community. And lastly, every child or mother shall not be in detention. Thank you.
For me, I want to take awards from the famous person. Child protections mean child can live without fear. Child can live freedom from fear. And then another supporting words. To me, child protection is about actively creating a wall where every child can feel safe, valued, and free to just be a kid. It's a community's promise to shield their innocence and nurture their potential. It's important because when our children are safe, our entire community's future is brighter and stronger. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to all the panelists here. And it is very important for a child not to be safe, but it is also important that we listen to their perspective, not just our own perspective, and to focus on them instead of focusing on our as adults. And thank you so much for all your thoughtful opinions and your own words. Thank you so much. And I would like to also continue to ask that to the teacher. And as a teacher, what signs do you look for when a child might need protection or emotional support? What signs do we look for?
Okay, in my experience at our school, some kids, they are actively, example for the KG or nursery, they actively play around and moving around. But one day, he or she cry and didn't play and look like so sad. At that time, we take care more him, and then we give love more him, and then we discuss with their parents also what happened to their children, and then the elder for, especially most of the time we discuss about the things. Some kids, they cannot tell, they cannot discuss properly. That time also we look more, we take care more. That we did at our school. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. As we all face challenges as a migrant represent, for migrant and also refugee families as well, what extra challenges do children face in staying safe, especially without documentation?
For migrant and refugee families, children face many extra difficulties. If I'm going to talk based in migrant communities and also the refugees, the issues can be different. And also, migrant workers is actually coming with their certain goals where they don't bring their family, but refugees are living along with their families and children. So there would be more difficulties, more rights issues, especially when migrant communities and as refugee is living without documents. There is a lot of challenges, especially there is a fear when they cannot go out freely, and also in case if anything goes wrong with them, they cannot be reaching out to the responsible authorities. Also, they're neglected from their education and other benefits as a human. So, and other difficulties, let's say the refugees also facing a problem in medical health concerns. It's a one kind of very important important issues and moral rights for any human. That's all from me.
Your input, as especially not just protection, as in healthcare services as well. That especially if the children or the families are undocumented, they face extra challenges. And thank you so much for raising out this issue. And I would like to also ask to the NGO representing, as from your field experience, what are the most common protection issues faced by the marginalized children, the refugees, the migrants, or anyone who has lack of documentation?
Yeah, of course, in Malaysia, the law doesn't differentiate between adults and children when it comes to immigration law. So if you enter the country without any valid documentation, you are liable to be detained and deported. Even if you are a 78-year-old or a 35-year-old or even a baby falls under that law. Yeah, so we have cases in Malaysia where children are born in immigration centers and they live there for many, many years. Like imagine like that's their world. They have not seen how it's like outside. And of course for Suka Society, we work with a special group of children who are here without their parents, who's like even more vulnerable. I think I heard the speaker before me mention about how migrant comes without their family members. There are some refugees who come with their children, but there are also children who come without their families and they're on their own. And we feel that this is like even more vulnerable. At least I see many children here. I'm sure after school you go back to your father and mother, right? But there are some children who are here by themselves, and that is extra vulnerable because they don't have any adults to protect them. If anything happens to them, they are on their own. And that's where I think Suka Society, what we do is we try to identify children like this, and we try to find foster families from their own community who can look after them because obviously, like what we mentioned about child protection, right? Children cannot protect themselves, which is why they need adults to protect them. And sad to say, they are not made. I mean, there are some adults who is out there to exploit children, to use them for many different other not so good reasons. And that's why we need other adults to make sure that this doesn't happen to the children who are here without the adults who are supposed to care for them. And that's where I think at least in Suka, that is something that is very close to our heart, and we hope that these children don't get exposed to dangers that will harm them even more.
And as a parent, from hearing all of these challenges, what challenge do you face in keeping your children as a parent safe today, whether online, at home, or in the community?
It's a biggest issue for me. May I share my practical experience? In this situation, my kids have very addicted on screen. Because of sometimes we as a illegal migrant, we cannot stay together with our kids. That's why we give screen intentionally to stay not disturbing our job and our like this. It's the most challenging things in this current situation is the digital and electrical like a device for me. And then the more, because of we cannot maintain their device using system, or who they contact, who they chat, and which kind of game they play. That is why for me the biggest challenge in my life practical experience is the and then other issue is wrong. They will get wrong idea, and they can get like like Japan, you see, online scamming, another at risk application. Consequently, it's their life unsafe at home, not in outside. Yes, it's a biggest issue for me. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for raising out this as well. Our children, for us to keep away their gadgets from this generation is not impossible as well. Yeah, thank you so much. And as a parents or as a guardian to these children, it is very important for us to monitor what they are exposed to, especially to online and what they're playing or what kind of games they're exposed to. Thank you so much for raising this out. And in our real life experiences as well, I would like to ask to the teacher represent Sia Joseph Lien. How can teacher help build trust so students feel safe to share their problems when they face these problems, especially those from marginalized backgrounds, like we mentioned, whether they are documented, undocumented, or especially the undocumented. So how can we build trust with them for them to share their problems with us?
Okay, thank you. In my experience, our school, half of them, they are lack of trusting. Even the teacher, sometimes we said to do something also, they didn't trust and they look at and laughing, something like that. That is one of the big problem at school also. Yeah, very difficult to teach. Yeah, very difficult. In 1 year also improved not too much for in my experience also. Yeah. That time, the first thing we did for them is trust them and listen what they said, what they talking, and we give time to them more also. And then sometimes also, we make play with their friend and we help them because they need to help because they didn't trust their friend also. And that's why the teacher help and encourage them. And then the next thing we visit to their home and how they live and what is their background, and then we talk to their parents also. Yeah, that's thing, and we how to say and we correct the data, something like the whole survey, and then depends on them. After that, we discuss all the teachers what happened on this chair, and then the next we help to trust other. Yeah, we did like that. Yeah, we do like that. Thank you.
It is very important for the children to know them that they are actually they're being cared, right? Thank you so much. And to Abu, can you share your real example, or without naming anyone, of the struggles or risk that migrant or refugee children often face, and what helped them overcome it in your experience, or yeah?
Yep. From my perspective and the ground experience, there is several issues being happen with migrant, those who are living with family, and also the refugees communities, whoever surrounding to us as a community leader. Yeah, there was a time after COVID-19, I have seen a lot of migrants automatically, because of the timing and the situation being undocumented, and they have been neglected and deceived from a various benefits that being stated as a migrant workers. Example, like some of the migrant workers, when they being undocumented, because of the status, they was afraid to go for vaccination, and their families, their wives and children also suffer as the similar. And it's being happen, I'm sure, for our refugee friends and families. Um, so there are other issues because of their undocumented status, and also because of the nationality and other perspective. Some of the local and surroundings, other migrants, other national, taking advantage on the vulnerabilities. So how they can really outcome in this situation? Definitely, we have a certain friends, families, and acquaintance who is care for us. So we should be making aware of them regarding our migrant communities and the individual situation, where peoples can be come together and with the mindful, like helping each other. That's how, I mean, communities, to build a community are important. Even an individual groups, it's really work in the in kind of situation. Yep.
Thank you so much. And as this kind of risks or challenges are often faced, especially through the migrants and also when they became undocumented, and it is where the community comes, and to be and together or connecting with community is very important as well. Thank you so much. And to Alex, what important gaps still exist in our child protection system, and why must we pay attention to it now?
Wow, this is a very hard question. I mean, there's so many gaps. I think it's not just about child issues, but overall, recognizing the refugee population. I think it's very, very important. I know it's very slow, but I think there have been progress being made. And I think lately we have heard even our ministers using the word refugee. So in Malay, it's quite pelarian. But before this, we have never heard any minister even using that word refugee, as if like refugee never exists in this country. And I think that's a big step forward for them to at least realize that there's a difference between migrant workers who are illegal and refugees who are here because they are forced to flee from their country. Yeah, so once I think that recognition is, is kind of like upheld by our leaders, then we can move forward. Then we can start talking about, the rights of children and things like that. Yeah, but I think while we wait for these things to happen, which we don't know when, right? It could be like many, many years from now. I think it's important that as a refugee population themselves, you don't wait for help to come. You just have to help yourself first, which I'm very, very impressed and proud with some of the refugee population that is so self-sufficient. And especially I think in Suka, right? Sometimes we go to certain communities and they say, it's okay, you don't have to help us because we can help ourselves. I think that is what we want. Because as much as we can do things for you guys, we are also kind of limited in the resources that we have. And I think if you don't help yourself, then it's very hard for other people to also help you, because you'll always be waiting for like, hey, when is people going to help us? Yes, we know we have UNHCR, we have NGOs, but again, our hands and legs are kind of tied in this country, right? There are many things that we want to do, but because of legislation, lack of resources, we cannot do those things. But I mean, look at the refugee population here, like and there's so many of you. And I like Sangboy's story about that 1%. I know we cannot give a lot, right? But if everybody can just give that one small percent and you pull it together, it becomes a lot. I think that's where I think the strength comes in. Yes, there's many gaps. If I want to start talking about gaps, I don't think we'll ever end, right? There's so many gaps in terms of like education available for, so if you want to wait for the time when the Malaysian government says, okay, fine, all refugee children can go to school, I think some of you here will probably be old, and no longer fit into schooling age. But it's great that you guys started school even before waiting for these things to happen. Things like, for example, medication, right? So yes, that is another big gap, right? If you're undocumented, and even if you are documented, to get into hospitals, you have to pay so much more than other people. And we had situations where people cannot, they get sick, they cannot afford to go to hospitals, and in the end, it becomes worse and worse and worse. And these are also many, many gaps. Yeah, but again, I've heard of communities who pool resources. I cannot give a lot, but everybody just give a little bit, enough to send this person to the hospital to get treatment. And I think that is what impresses me a lot. Because it shows that although, there's so many things you cannot do, but with every small thing that you have, you pull it together, you become strong. Not as an individual, but I think as a community. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. And it is also, like you mentioned, we are a lot of us here. And for the NGO or UNHCR to help is also, like you say, it's like very hard. And I also can understand their point of view. But in the meantime, instead of waiting for their help, it's also, like you mentioned, it's important that for us to start ourselves, and which is something. And also the word that you mentioned from the ministers, who also mentioned the word refugee. It is a long progress, but I'm happy to hear that it's something is better than nothing. So thank you so much. And I would like to ask to the parents represent, to Sia Win, what support do you think, hearing all these challenges and gaps, what do you think parents need from schools, from communities or organizations to protect their children better?
Yeah, it's a very big issue. Parents cannot do this alone. We have to, our hands have to hold together and make together. We need a true partnership, like here in our panel discussion. We can get much truly partnership. Firstly, from school, we need consistent and modern education, but it's very difficult for our refugee school because of very limited capacity and then material. On digital literacy and consent, because of this current era is digital era, and the communication starting from a young age. Then from the community, we need safe, accessible spaces for kids to play. Because of in our refugee school, our space is very limited. For kids to play and engage positively and play together positively. But most importantly, we need resource. The most important thing is resource. Our refugee, especially for our refugees school, has very limited resources. Workshop on mental health, first aid for parents. It's also the most important, because of sometimes we parents also got much tension about for psychological and emotionally how to improve our kids, because of we don't get any awareness. Thank you so much for my side.
Thank you so much. It is important for our children to be safe, and to help them, we need to help ourselves first. Thank you so much for your thought. And I would like to ask to all of the panelists here, and before I ask our theme today, I would like to highlight our theme today is about being change makers. So I would like to hear from each of you that what is one small action, any of you as a teacher, as a migrant worker, as an NGO, or as a student or youth, or as a parents, what small action that we can take to help protect children, in your words? If you cannot think of it right now, you can pass it to all the other panelists and they can come back to you.
if there is an opportunity for any communities to structurize a proper schools, learning hubs, it can be some learning institution, a place where uh, the children can be gather and play themselves, can conduct a different kind of activity, which is actually will help them to be addressing themselves, who are they and how far they can be go along. But as an individual, I wish also every other individuals should take an initiative, that willingness for the children's grow and the safe manner and for the better future, some kind of contribution should make. It can be contribute with whatever the knowledge we have, by sharing with them, by teaching them, and also it can be if there is an ability to help with financial support, that's also very important and it will work.
Thank you so much.
There's a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. I think it's important for us to not just see our children as, okay, this is my child and I just only care for my kid. But it's important for us to also be concerned about other children as well. Because at the end of the day, you know, we don't live in isolation. Every child here, even if one child here doesn't become successful, it will affect the community as a whole. I mean, I see so much potential in all these children, you know, all the storytelling, the dances, the music that you play, you know, all of you have potential. But imagine if just one of you didn't make it and become bad, it will just affect everybody else as well. So I think we must not think of just ourselves. And that's one thing that sometimes I feel very sad, right? When I see some communities, they're very selfish. Like, you know, I only care for my child. As long as my child do well, I don't care about other kids. You know, if my child don't get bullied, other kid gets bullied, it's not my problem. You know, and then they just become very closed in terms of their interaction with people. So like for Suka, we depend on families to look after children from their own communities for these children to be protected. Yeah, so I think for us, it's very important that people don't just remain, you know, isolated from themselves and only care for themselves, but also to see that it's not just, I'm not just responsible for my family, but I'm also responsible for every other child within my community as well. And of course, when we help other people will help us as well. And I think that just makes the community even stronger. I mean, simple things like, for example, you know, if I need to go out and work, and there are many cases where I cannot work because I don't know where to place my children, right? And then in the end, they don't end up working. But what if, let's say, your neighbor who is also not working, right? You can place your children with neighbor, you can trust your neighbor to look after the kids. Then I can go, you know, earn some money, I share it with my neighbor who's not working. And I think that helps each other to become stronger. Yeah, because if it's just you yourself and you're just protecting your own family, then I think this sort of help. I mean, the same way, I mean, you don't help other people, you also will not get help from others. So I think this mutual cooperation is very, very important.
Thank you so much.
One small but powerful action students can take is simply speak up. When we see bullying, discrimination, or unsafe behavior, we should complain to a responsible authority to take action. And then another action will be just showing kindness and looking after each other. And then CBOs or CSOs can work together with teachers, parents, and student leaders to highlight these issues and to brainstorm the solutions and work together can make a difference. And UNCRC Article 12 says that every child has a view. So meaning we also have a responsibility. So whenever we see bullying or discrimination, we should just speak up. Yeah.
Can I ask a question to all the parents in this room? Please attention to me. All of the parents, do you know all about your kids and your children? I want to ask again, do you know all about your kids and your children? Your knowing on your kids is enough or not? How do you think about it? So, from my side, as a parent, we must give strongly attention to our kids. And then we also have to improve ourselves. We need to understand their psychology, emotionally. The very smallest things is we have to improve ourselves. And we have to improve our intention to all of our kids. Not only in our community, other NGOs like UNHCR also have to share their intention more and more strongly for all of our kids. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much from all of your sharings. It is very important for as a parents or adults to fully understand them, and if a child, from a child perspective as well, if they face any discrimination, it is very important for them to speak up as well and to seek help. And for as a parents and adults, it is very important to not only care for our own child, but to think of other child or other people, other person, our neighbors, everybody around us as well, and most importantly, and to share what we know. And if you can support money-wise as well, financially as well, as everybody needs help. So it is very important for us to help each other. Like Alex mentioned, it takes a village to raise a child. And we talk about our point of view, our challenges, and what action we can make. And now I would like to go to our what solutions or hope. So from the teacher, what role schools can play in building a strong and safe learning environment for every child?
Yes, I accept and I trust this. School play a central role in creating a strong and safe learning environment for every child, especially for the refugee family. Okay, refugee family parents, they are working, and when they arrive the home also they are already too tired. They leave the kids with a phone or something like that. That's why the school is a central role. I hope like that. They do to this setting clear role to protect student. We have to make a school make a clear rule. Sometimes the student thought to give punishment. That's only. Then actually this is the rule is for protect the children, and then the next thing for promote to respect elders, teachers, parents, and our friends also. Especially the refugee kids, they lack of this thing. When we visit to their home also, they sit on their cans, they sleep on their cans, and visitor no place to sit. Like that also. At our school, we play that role for a special with this all the time also. I ask to the kids, do you obey your parents? You obey your parents also every time like this, and to respect their friend also. Respect your friend. When your friend talking also listen and talk properly also. This thing we play the important role at school. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Especially for the refugee students, as they spend most of their time of the day in school, as their parents are also busy working, and I really appreciate the teachers' role and the school, what they're doing to educate them with the social etiquette. And thank you so much for doing all that. And next to to our panelists here, to Abu. What is one thing you wish the public understood better about migrant children and their needs?
I mean, the people should understood migrant children and refugee children like every other children as well. And they have their hopes, they have their feelings, they have their dreams as well. How every other children's, the people's, every of us, how we do think for our own children. So we should um, be supportive and make sure their children's safety, where they can grow with their understanding, kindness, and also dignity and respectful environment. The refugee and migrant child's situation, how their difficulties is going through, is still they are trying by their own selves to overcome. But if the communities, if the surroundings are really supportive to them, if the things for everyone's equally, it can be create the better future for all the childrens, and also they can be contribute in the future how they get support from each others and everyone. So we have to be very mindful to our surroundings, childrens, our neighbors, and also as an elder, everyone have their self-responsibility for each child. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I would like to the remaining panelists, I would like to ask all of you the same question, that to share one final message or hope for the future of child protection. Final message, or what hope do you have for child protection?
I have to revise. We must pay attention to all of our kids, and then we need to teach all of our kids very good habit. It's a mutual respect. If we respect each other, no school bullying. And then we cannot do alone. We cannot manage alone. It's all of kids' issue. We have to strong together. We have to do together. Thank you so much, and we have to hands up together for our kids, because of the future. It's depend on our kids and the children. That is why we must strongly pay attention to our kids. Thank you so much.
Maybe I can just say that never lose hope. No matter how bad things are, there's always hope. And I mean, you guys have traveled so far to come to Malaysia. You have escaped even worse condition. And I know that if you can do that, even in Malaysia, you can survive. So no matter how bad things are, just hold on. And I'm sure sooner or later, things will get better. But if you already give up, then there's just no more hope anymore, right? So just hold on. There's always hope.
My message to young people is your rights matters and your voice is important. UDHR Article 1 says that every child is born freely and equal in dignity and rights. If you provide these tools to these kids, protection and education, they will flourish and thrive, and they will learn, grow, and become confident people who can contribute back to society. Because we are people with skills and we want to contribute to society. And I hope that especially refugees, migrants, and stateless children are allowed to education and protected, and every child has that in future child protection is not a privilege but a guarantee to every child in Malaysia and around the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much for raising all of the very important messages, and for your I would like to Again, thank you to all the panelists for your honest, thoughtful, and inspiring contributions as well. And our today's conversation remind us that child protection is everyone's responsibility. Everybody has responsibility in protecting our child, the children. And every child, regardless of their background, nationality, status, deserves safety, dignity, education, like all the panelists have mentioned, and a chance to grow. So let us all walk away today with one commitment, and to protect, to listen, and to act whenever a child needs us. Thank you, everyone, and we hope this discussion inspires real change in our communities. Thank you so much.